Start streaming. All right. Welcome everyone. Just gonna wait for a moment for people to pop in the room. Good evening. Good evening. It's been one heck of a week. Has it ever? Just gonna look at some stories that I wasn't able to make videos about. So every morning, I take what time that I have before going to work and put together some stories for you guys for the day, and then do a lot of research in the evenings. So yeah, I can't get to everything. There's so much that I would like to touch base on, but I try to put together stories that seem relevant enough for the day and what's going on, as well as something that I'm passionate about in the moment, so I can share with you guys in a way that's that's legit. You know what I mean? If I don't find an interest in a certain thing, I'm not gonna really spend a lot of time on it. Yes, good evening, Patriots. Yeah, thank you for thank you for your time. Thanks for paying attention to all this stuff that's going on. It's crazy. Yeah, I can't talk about that data that was released. We all know why. We all know why. I do have a Rumble channel, and I think I was talking to someone about possibly doing a live or a video on Rumble, diving more into that data. Someone who is qualified to read that data. So it wouldn't be my expertise on the line there. It would be someone who is actually a little bit more qualified in that particular expertise. Let's just say. You got to be careful about what you say on the tubes. You can't just go saying whatever you want anymore. It's their platform, and they've made rules. They've got guidelines, and you got to follow them. If you don't follow them, then they'll show you the road. And I'm in it for the long haul. I can't remember who. I think it was my mod Cracker that was telling me of someone he follows. It's got the motto of I'm not going quiet. If you don't want me on the platform, you're gonna have to give me the boot. I'm gonna do whatever I can to stay on as long as I can, and tell as many people what I can. Jimmy Dore and Russell Brand, real unbiased news sources. I wouldn't say that they're unbiased, especially Jimmy Dore. He's clearly left wing, and he's not shy about that. It's hard to tell what side of the aisle you're on anymore. You know what I mean? People put you in a category. They'll say you're left wing. They'll say you're right wing. I'm independent. I'm not affiliated to any particular party. I don't have an affiliation that way. So I can happily ride that fence. And the ever swaying zeitgeist of where political stances are. I mean, one minute we were all just, normal, average opinions, and next thing everybody's super far right. I don't know what happened. People's opinions didn't change. Something else happened. Are you in Canada, Clyde? I am in Canada. I live in the west coast of Canada. Beautiful British Columbia, and one of the last provinces, maybe the last province, to still have a passport in this whole thing. So yeah, we're gonna put the pressure on good old Bonnie and Bonnie Dix. Need to get the pressure on, because yeah, it's not going good. I'll tell you one thing though, during this whole people are calling it the plandemic, what was happening for a lot of it a lot of the other provinces were getting really strict and getting all these rules, where here in BC, we've got the happy hypocrites. I don't know, I like to call them that. So they're they're hippies. They're old hippies and yuppies, and they're hypocrites. And what they basically do, and it's been this way for a long time when it comes to the environmental fights and stuff, right? So people will say like, oh, I'm super green, look at me, I got my bumper sticker, I'm really good for the environment, I tell everybody about how great I am for the environment. I'll have my, you know, if I have a paper cup, it's brown, it doesn't have dye in it, you know, kind of thing. But they're the ones that always leave like all the trash at the campsite, and it's just like the usual ones, right? Yeah, hypocrites. That's right, Jelly Duck. Yeah, hypocrites. So yeah, the good old happy hypocrites. And when this COVID thing came and hit us, what happened there? We had the lot of them were like, yeah, I'm totally on board with this. I'm on board. I got my mask. Look at me. I got my bumper sticker that says I support the troops or whatever. I support the frontline workers, and then they treat frontline workers like absolute trash. So I mean, that's been my experience over this. So I'm a mechanic, and I worked on cars the entire time, and I recall seeing the bumper stickers with the dirty mask on the shifter when I get in the car to go work on the guy's car, right? Yeah, masks, exactly, right? So that's been kind of my experience through this whole thing in BC. I live in a smaller town, so most people don't really care. Like, nobody's checking the passports unless you they said they were gonna at gyms. I went to join a gym, and it said, like, so full disclosure, I got the first 2 shots because my family lives in Japan. I have family in Japan, and we wanted to fly there, so we were told you have to get these or you can't fly. So we got them, and we still weren't able to fly, and so felt pretty ripped off in that scenario. That's the truth there. But yeah, I went to the gym, and they were showing the passport requirements, and that they said they were going to check the passports, and I'm like, nah, I'm on the same page as Viva Fry, where it's yeah, I got it, and I got the passport, but screw you if you ask me for it, you know, like, I'll just go somewhere else. No thanks. My big issue is the passport, for sure. So yeah, I'm not interested in using that and having somebody track what places I go to. Yeah, especially when everywhere else is lifting these mandates, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. I'm not sure what I was getting into there. I'm just doing small chat while the chat room fills up. But yes, thank you guys for coming in this evening, and thanks for tuning in to all the videos this week. I tried to get to as much as I could with the time that I have. I was saying, if you're just joining in now, in the mornings I try to do as many videos as I can before I have to go to work. So the amount of videos is definitely dependent on how much work goes into each one. I go to bed super early. I wake up at like 3:30, 4 a.m. in the morning, and just get right to it. When I'm wrenching on cars, I'm listening to nothing but news. I'm filling my head with all the stuff so you guys don't have to all the time. And I've put this on myself. This is a thing. It can really wear on you. I haven't taken a day off since I started making these videos. I think about a month. But yeah, that's the way it's been going. So I like doing these Friday streams because I can get to some of the articles that maybe I didn't have a lot of information on at the time, or I didn't have time to get to. We can get to that. Lifting the mandates. Elections are close. After the elections probably go backwards again. Well, we don't know where it's going to go. We've gotten this distraction. You know what I mean? North 49 RC. Vote with your dollars and drain the banks. Yeah. I was just discussing with the wife tonight, maybe trying to get our savings out of the Canadian dollar, because doesn't seem like a safe bet right now. Cheers from Ontario. Hey, my birthplace. Good old Ontario. Wow. Yeah, a little quick one. Crypto. I don't know if I trust. It depends on the crypto, and I'm worried about governments banning crypto. I mean, like, that's all they gotta do, put you in jail for crypto. I don't know. We'll have to see. Quick little one. I've seen other channels do this, and don't do this for too long. But everybody in the chat, just quickly type, where in the world are you from, and we'll have a see where everybody's from, just quickly in the chat while I pull up some of these other videos and articles that I wanted to take a look at. Nova Scotia, Calgary, got Toronto, Kingston, Alberta, Ontario. Wow, lots of Canadians in the room. And the chat goes crazy. Vernon, BC, the Netherlands. Wow. Okay, now it's moving too fast. India, jeez, Ontario, Calgary, New Brunswick, Ottawa, Clarence Creek, North Dakota, another North Dakota. Wow. Pellington, Texas, Manitoba, Louisiana, Montreal, Kitchener. We all know where Kitchener is. I grew up there. Clyde, do you do something for me? Oh, geez. Wow. Once you get these messages going, it's hard to see what's happening. If somebody do something for me, I want to contact in your videos. Keep it up. Oh, I like how you compact it in your videos. Keep it up. Yeah, thank you. I do what I can to make it digestible, because there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of people putting out really, really good information, and I really appreciate the long form stuff, but not everyone has the time for the long form. So what I've been trying to do is take a lot of the info from people's long form, put it in a quick digestible. I can watch this in between 8 and 15 minutes max. I try to max, not go towards the 15 minutes. Try to keep it around 10 minutes, around there. Earthlings. Yes, Earthlings. What's happening right now is why the aliens don't talk to us. If the aliens are out there and know about us, this is why they don't speak to us. Anyway, let's get into some of this stuff that's happening right now. Dragon Men, thanks for the tip. Appreciate it. Dragon Man. All right, let's look at some of these. It made me think of Florida Man. I saw a Florida Man story today. Gotta love Florida Man. Canada's new travel rules explained. Ottawa continues to face pressures to drop its pre-arrival test requirement. So I thought this news was funny. So I like pulling up CBC News, because CBC is like the worst news aggregate out there. $1.4 billion last year that they got from the federal government to do the crappiest job that I can be on par with. You know what I mean? In my garage. Like, this is how it is. What Canadian news will get you. Anyhow, this is an article from the CBC. Quite interesting to me, because they're talking about the new travel rules and explaining it. And basically, what they get into here is all about the rapid antigen tests and what it is that we have to do as Canadians. Now, I'm not sure how it is for other people in other countries. I've been trying to keep track of what the rules are in other places. Denmark apparently just opened up completely. I'd love to see that here. I'd love for our people to follow the science. Or is it silence? That's what I heard on good old Uncle Bumblefuck's video this morning. Pardon my French if your kids are in the room. But yeah, 1.4 billion with a B, billion dollars of taxpayer funded liability in my honest opinion. It's a liability. But okay, so we had this, but what did we have right after this? We have calls to drop the pre-arrival tests. So these are people, and this is why it cracked me up, because these are some of the people that are the worst, vile people on social media and stuff, that get into it. Somebody, it's so ridiculous, said this guy, the Swidler of Mont Tremblant, Quebec, who's set to fly home from the Hawaiian Islands. Now, I'm generalizing. Maybe these guys aren't the worst of them. Maybe I'm generalizing, but it cracked me up because of the next statement here. Somebody who has 3 vaccines and wears a mask and doesn't take chances, making me take a test to come home and making me stress out about it. Why are they doing that? Well, let me tell you, my man, they don't care about you as much as they don't care about the rest of us. You know, it's the whole govern me harder daddy approach to I've paid all my dues. I played by all your rules. And where did that get me? It got you in the same place, sit down at the back of the queue, and if you raise any fuss, we're gonna declare a state of emergency. So sit down. That's really like legit. Like I wonder why people like this don't wake up sooner. But maybe that's what's happening. He's waking up to it. He's saying this is ridiculous. Why? Why is it that I played by all your rules and I still have to do this BS at the border? What is that? Yeah. Govern me harder, daddy. That is exactly what's happening. So yeah, on Friday, several border town mayors on both sides of the Canada-US border held a news conference calling for an end to all pre-arrival testing at the land border for fully vaccinated travelers. Even when getting an antigen test, you still have to go through the hassle of clicking the box, making an appointment, finding a pharmacy that's available, Windsor Mayor Drew Dickens said. Is that Dilkins? Sorry, said at the news conference. The need for testing at the land border is over. Well, a lot of people would argue that the the need for testing, period. Am I allowed to say that? I think I'm allowed. It's an opinion. I'm not stating any facts. Yeah, Southwestern Ontario borders mayors groups call for end to COVID-19 testing at land crossings. So what happens if you test positive? Well, the government has not eased rules for travelers who test positive while abroad. Those travelers must wait at least 10 full days after they look at their test before entering Canada. 10 full days. Wow. Infected Canadians won't be turned away at the land border, but may face fines of up to $5,000 for defying the rules. There is still risk, the real risk, of becoming sick while abroad and having to extend your trip. Should you test positive for COVID-19, Duclos said, speaking in French. Yeah, so basically what this is, and I found it kind of amusing because it was people who did pay 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 all the stuff, went to did all the rules, played by all the rules, and they're still getting it, not good. Now today, this was the talk of the town, actually. When I was at work, everybody talking about how much fuel is costing. Hey, Clyde, did you hear about some of the truckers returning to Ottawa? Trucker YouTuber made a video on it. No. Yeah, I'm going to decline that call now. No, I haven't heard about that. I heard about a plan that there is a plan, and I didn't hear what the plan is, and I'm keeping my ears open, and as soon as I know anything, I'll let you guys know for sure. I definitely keep you posted on that one. I know tomorrow the plan is the human chain across Canada, over the Trans-Canada Highway. Yeah, fuel prices. So yeah, here we go. Gasoline has never been more expensive, and high prices are likely to stick around for a while. And so the reason for this is the Russian invasion. It has nothing to do with I don't know, maybe the inflation that we've been seeing for a long time. It maybe one of the guys at work today was remarking. He says it's amazing how quickly the gas prices go up, even though the crude oil hasn't moved yet. that I found pretty interesting. So yeah, the prices fill up a tank of gasoline has never been higher in Canada, and experts are saying that there's little reason to expect relief anytime soon. The price of a liter of gasoline at the retail level has hit record highs in as many Canadian markets this week, with prices under $1.50 per liter becoming harder to find. Yeah, so what I heard today was $2 for premium. And British Columbia, Newfoundland, and Labrador are dealing with the eye-watering figure of more than $2 a liter for the first time. Yeah, $2 for premium. So, but it's not far off. We might see $2 for a liter of regular gasoline. That's just absurd. That's absurd. But that's the trend we've been in. People seeking alternatives. Oh, so that was one of the stories too that hit the news wave. So like, basically 176.9 for regular in Kelowna, BC. I always love when they put 96.9, like 0.9 of a cent over. Well, I guess 0.1 of a cent will over a lot of fuel does something, but the 0.9 always just gets me to like, oh, you just didn't want to get that next full round number. It's always funny that the prices always seem to be fixed all over town. They don't. It's not like a competition or anything happening. But yeah, so the thing that kind of made me laugh was, so Justin Trudeau got out there and he was doing the grandstanding act because of the Russian invasion, and he was saying how we're gonna do such strict things. We're gonna take action against them. You know, the coward of the cottage who's afraid of a bunch of gentle men and women and kids in trucks honking their horns is going up against the Russian Federation. Get out of my face with that. So he gets up there and he says to the camera, well, he doesn't address the camera. He addresses this part of the room and then this part of the room and then just off of the camera and then back to that part of the room, that part of the room, and then that next to the camera. That's his routine. once you've heard that, you'll never not see that when he's speaking. It's absurd. It's absurd. But yeah, he got himself in front of the camera and he said that we're gonna put sanctions on crude oil from Russia. We don't buy any crude oil from Russia. We buy only refined oil products, or natural gas, or whatever products. We don't buy any crude. That's not what we do. So yeah, it's a way of coming out and saying big words without doing any big actions, you know. And before anyone gets my opinion wrong in this whole thing, because I've had people say, "Oh, you're carrying water for the Kremlin and stuff." I'm not for Russia. I'm not pro Russia at all. People are saying, you know, because I went with a contrarian opinion to what the news was saying. Now, my main point here hasn't changed. It's the same as it was from the beginning. The news has been lying to us, so I'm checking what the heck they're saying to us, right? So that's where I'm at. And when they tell us things, I just assume they're lying. So I go and I fact check. And essentially, when they tell you something very fervently, that tends to be the point where I'm like, maybe that's the thing that they're lying about. If they repeat a particular thing enough times, I dig into that and I try to find out if it's true or not. So my thing is I'm for average people. I think the best expression someone may put in one of the comments this week was what was it? Yeah, they said when two elephants fight, the only thing that suffers is the grass. And I think that sums up the situation the best, because I don't have a dog in the fight, except for just average people and the truth. That's kind of where I'm at on that thing. So I know that there's a bunch of lying in media on both sides of this one. But yeah, you can guarantee Justin Trudeau is lying when his lips are flapping. That's kind of the rule of thumb for that one there in particular. Now, a lot of people had some things that they wanted me to check out, and so I was finding some interesting videos, articles, things like that. I'm gonna pop this up. Just give me 1 second here. And I have to put headphones on for this so you guys aren't getting blasted with the double of the vocals here. Now, one thing a lot of people were telling me to look into, and I didn't have a lot of time to dive super deep, so I wasn't able to make a very conclusive argument or a coherent thought on the particular matter. But why don't we get into it a bit tonight? I think tonight's a perfect example for this. Are you for real? I'm not sure what you mean. It's really hard to keep track of the chat. It really is. Appreciate it though. Wow, look at all those likes. It's amazing. Thank you guys. So C11 is something that a lot of people wanted me to look into. Bill C11. There's a few bills that people wanted me to look into. A couple of them I found were bills that, so it was C10. People were telling me C10. C10's dead. And then C11 was the other bill. So I found a little bit of stuff on it, and I thought, why not look into some of that, and we'll just discuss kind of how we feel about this. Hey, Clyde, I appreciate the work you're doing. I hope your family is doing well. Just wait until electric cars are normal and can be disabled. What do I think? What do I think? I'm actually a fan of electric cars, contrary to what a lot of people think of mechanics. I'm a big fan of electric cars. If they wanted to put immobilizers in gasoline cars, they could definitely do that anyway. So there's no difference between if you can disable an electric car or a gasoline or a diesel or whatever. I'm a big fan of electrics because they're more efficient. They are cleaner at an end use. So here's the big difference. I'm sold on electric cars, but I'm not gonna fool myself about the reality of electric cars. So their carbon footprint is currently worse than a gas car. I will get to C11, guys. Use a VPN. Yeah, fair enough. Use a VPN. I'm not in Canada. I'm in Tibet. That's what I. I'm not a Canadian publisher. I'm a Tibetan publisher. That's how you do it. Electric cars take huge resources to make the batteries. Yes, and that's what I'm getting into. So, if you want to, there was a study done. I read about it. I'd have to pull it up again. If it's relevant, I will. But basically, the way this study went was they went from basic dirt and resources they pull out of the ground to manufacturing to end product to use in the market to no longer being useful because it's used up and going out to be disposed of in the scrap. The electric car had a bigger carbon and environmental impact than a regular road engine car. It's actually called a road engine car. That's the patent. I meant by the government disabling mass cars. Disabling mass cars. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Mass cars. Are you like a cash for clunkers thing? You don't. Okay. T-Bass, you don't have to do another super chat. Just write it in there what you mean. Are you talking about disabling the cars, like not making them so that they're recyclable so other people can use them? Is that what you're getting at? Because yeah, that's like so the US did a thing. I remember that. It was under George Bush, cash for clunkers. It was a stupid strategy to get people to buy new cars. Batteries in Canadian cars won't hold up with our cold, wet winter. Yeah, depends on where you're from. Definitely depends on where you're from. So, and I'll get to that. Oh, I think he means en masse. Yeah, okay. So disabling, like actually like shutting everybody's cars off? Taking your cars out if you have wrong think. That's so far off. Oh, man. Anyway, getting back to it. So footprint, environmental footprint, you can measure it with carbon or you can just measure environmental. Like there's a lot of factors involved in an environmental footprint. But essentially an electric car is worse in its current state. Technology is getting better. Ways of gathering these resources are getting better. But yeah, we still have the issues of like cobalt. And when we piss the government off, I watched the thingy say on the government can turn them off if need be. What's my opinion? Well, my opinion is don't buy a car that has that ability in it. So, yeah, even current cars today, like the way they work, everything, your network system. Without getting too complicated in this, vehicles have computer networks that run throughout the car, and typically, until recently, those networks, when they started putting like Starlink or not, I don't think they had a Starlink, but they had like different ways of hooking up to the internet on these cars. They quickly found out that people could hack into them and remotely shut your car off. Like they figured that out. So what they did was they started putting gateway modules. So like all modules are on a network that's shut off from the internet. So it keeps the internet from being able to talk to the rest of the car without like a particular protocol, right? You have to go through the gateway module to talk to anything else, any of the other modules in the car. What do I think about propane cars? Yeah, it was good in the 80s. Not really, not a thing. They're less efficient. They're not as good. Started with GM inclusion on Star Services. I believe it started with that. I think Chrysler was the ones that really got hit. I think they got sued over it. And there's a whole generation of their cars that aftermarket scan tools are just like inept at talking to their cars. And they ended up, I think there was like lawsuits and stuff over the fact that aftermarket scan tools weren't able to communicate with them. And there's like a couple of years where vehicles, if you own that vehicle, you just like, you're SOL for repairs. Unfortunately, like, yeah, lemons right out of the design phase, not even the like manufacturing phase. But anyway, electric cars, I'm a fan. I like them. I like where the technology is going. I think autonomous vehicles will have a particular use. I see, Clyde. Appreciate the stream. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. I think autonomous cars will have a really interesting use in the future moving forward. One thing I could see happening, and I'm not suggesting this be a government program, but like be a private enterprise that could happen, that I think would be really interesting, is if people did like kind of like a rideshare program where you know, certain people own vehicles and they allow other, you know, a company to manage those vehicles, or the vehicle company owns a fleet, and then you buy not shares or whatever, you buy a service where you get a ride to work at the time that you want, and then the car leaves, and instead of sitting in a parking spot in front of your workplace, it goes in it and it patronizes, or other people get patronized with this service. So, you know, it would be like a taxi. Yeah, kind of like a taxi service, but you'd buy into like a autonomous car setup. I mean, it's just an idea. Maybe people will run with that. Yeah, a lot of people won't trust the droids, right? But this is the yeah, buses just don't, like, public transportation in certain areas just don't, it just hasn't been a good working strategy. You won't own a car, but you'll be happy. No, not like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like a scenario where you don't have a choice. I'm saying it could become a business model in the future, like where people don't, instead of buying a car, they'll buy into like a service that picks you up, a pickup service, and then the car is guaranteed to be there by the company, and then yada yada, and then you would have like prime times where, like, if you start at 8, it's probably more expensive for your service if you do 8 to 5, 8 to 4 or whatever, because you're gonna be in like prime time area. So then you would have people, like, you know, bumping their work schedule up. So I start at 10, then my transportation would be, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I own nothing and be get out of here. I don't believe in that crap. I think that stuff is, and we're gonna get into that because that stuff is just absurd. Anyway, that's me speculating on where I think that the automotive market could go in the future. But who knows? I mean, I'm all about people testing products and services in the marketplace in actual like the market economy. I'm definitely an advocate for market economy. I'm not a fan of some technocracy, you know, Karl Marx with robots crap. Forget it. I just don't think it'll work. I just don't think that would work, even if people believe that would. Yeah, Marx's ideologies have never really panned out any which way they've been tried. Anyhow, I'm going to get into this because people have been bugging me to talk about C11. So this is a speech that I found. It's not too long. It's a minute 42. Let's get right into it.
Canadians. Neither the Liberals nor any government, regardless of your political stripe, can be trusted to be neutral referees of what is preferred speech and preferred content. The Prime Minister's response to one of the biggest protests of our time is evidence of this. We saw that our Prime Minister refused to listen to legitimate concerns of fellow Canadians, even when those who trucked from clear across the country came to just have a conversation, choosing instead to label people as racist, misogynist, anti-science people with unacceptable views. And this was done in order to silence and cancel their voices. A Prime Minister who can hardly tolerate differences of opinions.
Okay, that's a funny comment. Self-driving motorcycles. Get out of here. Get out of here. I thought this was about Bill C-11. I put this in my queue. 1 second. We'll just listen to the whole thing here.
Within his own cabinet and party cannot be trusted to respect the different opinions and preferences of Canadians. Freedom and the opportunity to share information and content must be protected, and primarily it must be protected from governmental interference. Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act, opens the doors to government control of Canadians through their internet activity and speech. We've heard these concerns about this government in the last iteration of this bill. Unfortunately, the same concerns remain with this bill.
Right. So my understanding of what's going on with this Bill C-11 is, and from what I gather, Bill C-10 was basically trying to make online platforms. What are you doing, little man? My son Daniel just came out here. Hey, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Say hi to everybody. They're all in the chat right there. You can see them? You can see them? Yeah, say hi. Say hi, little dude. Yeah, can you grab him? Up you go. Off you go. Oh, is that right? Oh, you brought him in just to make nice. Yeah, I will in a bit. Okay. I forgot I was supposed to lock the door behind and so that he couldn't come out here. Well, clearly he made it. He made it out here. Where was I at? Yeah, that was my son Daniel. He's a little cutie. He's a little dude. Yeah. Adorable. That's right. What a sweet little guy. Yeah. Yeah, he is. Gotta love live shows. Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. I know Viva Fry has that all the time where he's in the middle of like a legal thing going on. And and his kids are going nuts upstairs. He keeps having to mute his stuff. Anyway, same sort of thing. I'm a dad. You got to get used to it. These things happen. Anyway, let's get back into it. So C-10 was a bill that sucked, and they gave it the boot. C-11 is basically they tried to make some adjustments to it. Nobody's still happy about it. They're trying to get it passed. So C-11 bill is it's a bill that's trying to change regulation, so make it so online platforms fall under the same regulation as like TV or radio, stuff like that, so that the government can come in and say what happens on these platforms. Now, the problem with the legislation is that was a good timeout. Yeah, it sure was. The problem with the legislation is the language. So the language is not concise enough, and it's left too broad and too open to include, and of course the people who are trying to pass it are saying, well, we're not talking about your average YouTuber, we're not talking about your posts on Instagram, when the way the language sits, it looks like it is. It looks like they are trying to say that that's what it is. Like they're trying to say that they're gonna police, and that's literally what the way it is. They want to police the content on the internet. For people who aren't Canadian, you may not know this, but there are Canadian content laws in Canada. If you've ever come up to Canada and you're like, oh, what's on the radio? Let's listen to some music, and you're like, it sucks. That might be why. Like, who are these bands? I've never heard of this. What is this? Why do Canadians listen to this junk? So we have laws where I can't remember the percentage. I think it was between 40 and 60% of all content needs to be Canadian made, made in Canada stuff. So essentially broadcasters are forced to do this, right? So this raises all kinds of concerns when it comes to the internet for Canadians. Are we going to have this weird Canadian firewall that has to go up, like the Chinese firewall, where we have to have percentage of content on this has to be Canadian? And it opens the door to the government jumping in and basically taking over. And I mean, look at the news media. That's precisely what they've done. Broadcasters in news, they just jumped in. 33% on the radio needs to be from Canada. Yeah, that's why we're still hearing Our Lady Peace on rock stations. God, man, that was the worst 90s junk. You might get the odd good, yeah. I don't know why. I'm so sick of Neil Young. I've heard enough Neil Young. I could never hear another Neil Young song again and be totally happy. And I felt that way since before the whole Joe Rogan thing. Washed up old dude. Yeah, cringe. My gripe with Neil Young is the fact that he's for a few decades there, and they still play it on the radio. They play Neil Young singing about rock and roll in his folk songs. If you really like rock and roll, why don't you play some? I've never understood that. He just plays folk music talking about rock and roll. And and when he gets on the lead guitar, I just can't. Oh, not gonna. No. It's not his forte. It's not good. It's not good. Apparently news came out recently that he's actually a big dickhead too. But I digress. That's my opinion on Neil Young. I don't get why everybody loves him. Neil sucks on guitar. He totally does. But whatever. They have to play it in Canada, and there are great Canadian bands that just never get played. But I can't stand radio personally myself anyway. I do like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but when you have a whole discography of the Red Hot Chili Peppers and all you ever play is Californication, the worst song that they ever made, I can't listen to your station. It's terrible. This is Canadian radio. I don't get it. I have no clue what is going on with that. Yeah, there are good Canadians. Rush, a great Canadian band. They never play more than one of their songs though. Yeah, Rush is great. Tragically Hip was great. Yeah, you guys in America got Justin Bieber. You can keep him. Yeah, Triumph. There's a bunch. There's a lot. Theory of a Nickelback. Oh my god, you guys are funny. Oh man. Yeah. Great Big Sea, another great one. Yeah. Wait, Great Big Sea, are they Canadian? Maybe they are. I I know Spirit of the West is Canadian. I didn't know Great Big Sea was Canadian. Chilliwack, they're great. Was it Trooper? Here they come, the boys in the bright white sports car, waving their arms in the air. Yeah, I love that. That's great. Danko Jones is great. Yeah, Trooper. Green Day. Yeah, they're California. The band, yes. That's right. Toronto, the band. Prism. Yeah, there's a lot. 5440. Yeah, they were good. Wait, that says 544p. No, 5440. There you go. Yeah, lots of good bands. I'm off topic. Yeah, C11. So we're really concerned about C11, where it's going to go, because it looks like it's going to lead to some government overreach. Hey, would you pass the P's? No, you've overreached. Yeah, you've overreached. And that's what our government's good at doing right about now. The Guess Who's another great band. Amazing. But you don't get to see a lot of, or you don't get to hear a lot of their greatest songs. I seriously think that Canadian radio is terrible, and I am a huge fan of Megadeth. Yeah, Steve Mustaine. He's not Canadian, but great stuff. But yeah, that's about all the information I have on that. I can do more as time goes on. I'll learn more about it. But this is why I haven't released any videos on it. So I thought that's a good time to discuss it. Yes, Chilliwack's a great band. And a stinky town. I've been to Chilliwack. Wow, is the armpit of the Lower Mainland. No, like literally the mountains are right there, right before you get to Hope, and all of the everything goes, like the wind goes down to that area, and right before you get to Chilliwack, that's where they sort out all the manure, and then all that stink just sits in Chilliwack. Ugh. Yep, that's Chilliwack. But yeah, great band. So what else were we gonna look at? I wanted to have a look at MP loses his mind. That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So this was one. So recently there've been some the equivalent of like a congressional hearing. But they had Give Send Go come in, a spokesperson from Give Send Go, and of course all these politicians, MPs or whatever, got their chance to like get their grandstand moment and talk about how bad they thought that the convoy was. And there was one in particular dude, this Liberal MP, that just like off the plot when it comes to grilling Give Send Go about it. You had the usual ones where and they're really proud of themselves when they post their own video of grilling somebody on their own Twitter page, and like you just see it is them and then their little grilling moment, and they're like, look at me, I did the thing. And it doesn't really go anywhere because like none of this stuff has any legal merit, right? If like a lot of these accusations and stuff, they're all just grandstanding for the camera. This is supposed to be an inquiry on the legality of what took place. But let's just have a look at this scenario, because it just like really.
And thank you, Mr. Wells.
Oh, sorry, a little loud.
You're a veteran, and we thank you for your service. You went on record saying that you know what sacrifice is on Fox News. Do you believe that calling for the overthrow of a democratically elected government or funding movements that speak to that is part of the freedoms that you fought for?
Like right away, out of the gates, he's like no holds bar. He's like, I'm not gonna ease into this. I'm gonna full on. And he's got He's just, oh, what a, yeah, he's got the stink eye. Look at that. He's giving him the stink eye. He couldn't look him in the eye while he's asking the question, but at the very end, stink eye, just a comedy show, essentially. Yeah, right? It's insane. It's insane. Like, none of this has any legal standing. So, for one, nobody made any claims of overthrowing the government or anything like that. That was Jagmeet Singh and a few other people that made those accusations, unfounded accusations. But you know, they get repeated and repeated and repeated. But like the legal framework in a court of law is to like establish that like if you're gonna, you know, in discovery or whatever, you would have to establish that is a thing that was stated by somebody, and you would have to show that you have to show proof that was a thing, like a sworn affidavit that somebody heard that happened or was said, or maybe a video or anything, like not just your word. It doesn't work like that. But anyway, they just go on and say this as if it's like fact. Whereas like in a court of law, you just immediately get objection, leading or whatever. I don't think it's leading, but it's like prosecution is saying something that's not a fact or a contested is a contested thing and hasn't been proven, sort of thing. Anyway, I digress. Let's hear what this wacko's got to say.
No, I don't believe that.
The convoy and protesters spoke to publicly the desire to commit violence against the government, to overthrow the government. Would your platform, having seen all of these things in the public domain, not have caught this as part of your prohibited activities and terms of use?
It's this dumb old trick where you try to convince somebody, or I mean, you're not convincing them at all, but you phrase the question as if the previous statement was affirmed by the person, right? So given the fact that it was a violent insurrection, how do you feel about that? Like, no, I don't agree with that first statement. Thanks. Next question. Like, this is so funny.
Well, in our course of research around the campaigns, that was not something that we were aware of. And obviously there's always fringe elements to any organization, and the media, I believe, in general, just tries to polarize the fringe things because it's great for media. But it doesn't necessarily constitute the general. Yeah. You
say that you believe that the media polarizes. Do you believe that it was polarization when the city of Ottawa was shut down and there were a variety of laws, statutes, regulations, and ordinances of the city of Ottawa, as well as federal ones, that were violated, which fall again counter to your terms of use? And that, by the way, would have only required you to turn on the television?
So this part gets me. It would only require me to turn on the television. Well, it would only require you to show me a police report. Show me a police report of any of these violations that you are decrying as fact. You know, like, the news can say whatever the hell they want, but until you have like proof, then where you got no leg to stand on the for grandstanding. He doesn't have a leg to stand on. But that's essentially it. Like, you could just look at you just like, I think this is on par with, like, there was a big meme a bunch of years ago of I think Cenk Uygur was doing a debate. I don't know if you guys know who Cenk Uygur is. He's the there's a YouTube show called The Young Turks, a news show, and he was doing a debate with, I believe it was Lee Doran. And in this debate, Cenk Uygur, he gets like stumped on like a thing, so he's just like, just Google it. You could just Google it. Like, you could just turn on the TV and find out about this. Like, How about if you're talking about crimes are committed, show me a police report, even one. Get out of town. Oh, too funny. He's a fat narcissistic troll. Google it. It's a thing, right? Hey, it's just Google it. You know, I mean, just turn on YouTube and look at all the live streams from the event. How about that? Cash me outside.
Well, you can say that. I don't necessarily agree with that. So
Do you
Straight
believe
up.
it was lawful protest what happened in Ottawa?
from what I've seen, I believe it was lawful up to the
Chunky
point where
yogurt, that kills me.
orders were enacted to make it unlawful. But
So you believe that violating sound ordinances or traffic violations, blocking off entire streets outside the capital is perfectly lawful or perfectly reasonable, even though it's considered unlawful?
Breaking sound ordinances. I mean, so there was an injunction. There was an injunction because they were breaking sound ordinances. Now, don't forget the injunction had a whole lot of other stuff that the judge is like, no, we're not passing that. A bunch of other restrictions. All Ottawa's municipality got out of that injunction was you can't you can't honk. No more honking for 10 days. And guess what? They followed that. They absolutely did. And they stopped honking for 10 days to the moment. They had a countdown, I believe, at the end of it. Somebody asking, do I have a Rumble? I do. I forgot to put it in the description. But yeah, it's not hard to find. I can put a link in the description after, or in the comments as well. But yeah, I have a Rumble. Check it out. It's the same channel name if you're on Rumble. Just Clyde Do Something. Check it out. But that's here the response here.
well, I don't necessarily know that those things happened, and so
You don't know that those things happened. Did you turn on the television and see anything about this campaign, sir, when you became part of the media narrative?
See, this guy's hoping that he turns on the television and this little grandstand will be on CBC. That's what this guy's hoping for. He's like, just turn on the television. You can see my face. It's great. Look at me. I'm making a point. And with a smarmy look on his face. It's it's beautiful. It's like watching a peacock ruffle the feathers, you know what I mean? He's getting up there. I mean, peacock's a big step. It's like the little rooster in the corner that, you know, one day wants to be the king ding chicken. He's fluffing his feathers. He's a pigeon on the corner of Ottawa and Queen. He's a pigeon on the corner of Queen and Bathurst in Toronto. Just trying to get them feathers looking big. Come on, give me some crumbs. My bad. Let's just let this go.
Even Fox News.
Well, I do need to make a distinction. The blockade over the bridges had nothing to do with the campaigns on Give Send Go. They weren't campaigns on Give Send Go for those blockades. What happened in Ottawa, from what I was getting reports of on the ground, was that truckers did move into the city and that lanes of traffic were open and available for emergency vehicles and other vehicles to travel through.
Ooh,
and that it was
facts.
the police.
Were you aware that horns were
what
blaring
off there.
through the night in violation of a variety of ordinances?
So give him a
did get
fine. This is so funny because, like, okay, so I've had parties at my house back in the day, right? And the cops had to come and they show up. Hey, you're breaking a sound ordinance. You're bothering the neighbors. You got the music going too loud. You got your friends in the backyard. You're drinking beers. The barbecue's roasting. It's after 10. What are you doing? Get your stuff in. If I have to come back again, I'm coming back and I'm gonna give you a ticket. So this guy's holding a meeting, having his grandstand over the fact that Give Send Go wasn't upset on the fact that these guys should have got tickets, and you guys are enabling people to donate to these people that deserve to be ticketed for noise after 11 o'clock. I'm starting to sound like Bubbles. It's absurd to me, and it cracks me up. It's so goofy. It's such a goofy thing.
Reports of horns blaring, and that an injunction was made against that, and they stopped.
Yeah.
Knew that the law was being broken in a variety of different ways in Ottawa.
Yeah, but like,
And your platform says that Give, Send, Go is not
yeah, what degree of breaking the law, right? It's like, oh, you know, Judas Priest and their newest album, breaking the law by making too much noise after 11. You know what I mean? Like, jeez, man, breaking the law,
a place for hatred, abuse, disrespect, profanity, meanness, harassment, or spam. And you knew that there were reports of people documented on video of supporters of this convoy spewing hate, threatening violence, inciting people to rebel against the government and against the citizens of Ottawa. Would your platform not have reasonably shut that down?
Okay, I'll reiterate, Give, Send, Go does not condone violence of any form. We believe there's more power in the unity of peaceful protests. As in any polarized situation, we recognize there will be.
Somebody needs to make a meme of the 300 meme, you know, in Leonidas. The guy says madness. This is madness. with these two guys, you know, this is meanness. This is Ottawa. Oh, it's just too much. It's too much.
A few individuals and groups that might intentionally try to incite violence and hijack a movement.
So how many is okay? How many is okay then? How many bad apples is okay in a bunch?
No, I think that we already have processes in place with law enforcement to take care of bad actors that are actually committing acts of violence.
There you go.
And how did you do that in this case?
What do you? It's law enforcement that's responsible for that. The individuals that are signed up for Give, Send, Go. That's his purview. Not police. Like every time somebody starts a Give, Send, Go, he's got to like move to the place and push law enforcement aside and say, hey. I'm running the show now, okay? Dude, the MP guy, he said this is my responsibility. You guys move aside. There's a new sheriff in town.
How did you do that in this case, where you saw that there were when there was hateful speech, when there were people that were speaking about overthrowing the government, inciting violence? Did you shut those funds down? Did you prevent them from accessing the funds?
You know what? While he's saying this is really funny. Look at the guy in the background. He's looking around like trying to figure out if this is a real argument that this guy's saying. Just have a look at his expression.
People that were speaking about overthrowing the government, inciting violence. Did you shut those funds down? Did you prevent them from accessing the funds?
Again, the Canadian government did not reach out to us.
I'm asking about your terms of use, sir. The terms of use on your side.
Mr. Chair, point of order. I think that the line of questioning, it's all very important that we're very passionate about this, but I do think it's getting a bit abusive.
Passionate? He's passionate, all right.
Just ask the member to take a breath.
The plot. He's passionate. He's passed right by it.
Ask his questions, but I think this is getting a little bit too much. It's bordering on abusive at this point. So I just ask him.
Bordering. Geez, that's funny.
Okay, and now you can resume
The breath has been taken. Now let me ask you again. Your site explicitly says that prohibited activities and campaigns, you may not use the Give, Send, Go service for activities that violate any law, statute, ordinance, or regulation, in particular related to items that encourage promotion.
What, are you going to shut down anybody who jaywalks? If somebody finds evidence that someone jaywalked, like any ordinance, like the degree in which this guy is like really trying to find a strike. He's just reaching, trying to find anything.
Promote, facilitate, or instruct others to engage in illegal activity, promote hate, violence, racial intolerance, or the financial exploitation of a crime. This is
and of course he throws all that stuff in there as if that is stuff that actually occurred. See, these are accusations. They're unfounded, right? You can't just come in there, the unfounded accusations, and treat them as genuine fact. Ugh.
pretty broad set of parameters, sir. Is this on the basis of statute that is created by law or the discretion of give, send, go?
I always wondered what happened to Grimace when he grew up. I don't see him at McDonald's anymore. I think we found him. He's got himself a career in politics.
Well, there's discretion around.
Oh my God, just the look on
campaigns.
his face. That's the word schmarmy. Right there. Schmarmy is the epitome of schmarmy right there. That's schmarm. He's like, what are we having for lunch? I'm having schmarma. Double order, please.
Well, there's discretion around campaigns as people previously have mentioned. This was an ongoing situation, a situation that was evolving quite rapidly. And so there is discretion within Give, Send, Go to understand and make determinations upon whether those things are actually happening in conjunction with local law enforcement or federal officials,
that's
of
right.
which none of them took the time to actually reach out to us and make us aware of those things.
Well, having now seen what you have seen, knowing what you now know, would you have allowed this type of funder to have taken place again? Or would you?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if this man had known that he was going to be in this situation, would he have done it? What are you talking? Hindsight is 2020, my man. You can't speculate on what someone would have done had they known any. But even in that case, nothing that he said was actually like illegal.
Would you allow this to take place again?
10
Great
seconds,
question.
10
So-
seconds in your answer,
Great
please.
question.
Yeah, it's something that we take on a case-by-case basis. We have to navigate each one of these individually. And the campaign itself was a distinct group of individuals. So
Thank you very much.
And that was brought to us by True North News. True North has been doing a really good job. I've been following a lot of what they've been doing, especially over the past month or so. Wow, great work. And some of the other stories for tonight I actually picked up from True North News. Go check them out on YouTube. Great shows, great info for sure. But yeah, that was some hot garbage. That was a dumpster fire of just what really is that? Yeah, can't even fathom that. So yeah, wanted to get into some other stuff. Of course, the usual funnies. Oh, I gotta go ad free or allow ads. Let's go ad free. Oh, I have to pay for that. Okay, forget it. Sorry, USA Today. I'm not gonna look at that. Let me just find another article of the same thing. So I have this thing. It's really, really funny. So I'll get out of here. So you Google an article, and you get a link on Google, and it takes you to an article, and you get to read the headline, and then it goes, "Look at this website without ads." I'm like, no, I'm going to backspace, and I'm going to look at the next guy that just plagiarized your article. Like, what? You're all writing the same article. Why would I bother? None of you have new information. Oh, too funny. Cody E, have you heard about the Bill C-223, Universal Basic Income? So I've been asked to look into that one, and that's another one that I don't know a lot on. My opinion on Universal Basic Income is it's likely not a good idea. So, like, I get where some people, is it Elon Musk thought is a good idea? Joe Rogan thinks it's a good idea. I think I think they're mistaken on that. I think that it's not a good idea. Like, the welfare system has been a bad thing. Like, it just has. So welfare has caused people to get caught into this circle of poverty, and it's a whole topic to get into that would be really difficult. But Joe Rogan's against it now because he said that it sounded like a good idea. Yeah, so it sounds like a good idea. So like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Milton Friedman talked a lot about this. Sowell, what's his name? Economist from the U.S. I love his work. Solwell, I believe is his name. He did a lot of work on this, talking about the welfare system and how it creates, Thomas Sowell, that's right, creates a system of dependency, and well, we put it to the test, and it's been a long time since those debates, and well, it turns out that they were pretty spot on about that. So I'm gonna have to say that that's a really it's not a good idea. And if you broaden the scope and you just make that nationwide, everybody gets a check, I mean, immediately it'll help people, but then overall you get a whole bunch of people that are dependent, and then a lot of people lose motivation. It's the Soviet model as well on top of that, and then if you add in like housing and stuff, and then you get rid of equity, so there are a lot of issues that prop up around like native reservations and stuff, and the fact that the people in those communities have no equity in what they do, and how that it tends to be a lot of problems for them. Yeah, we don't. I think that the agreements there need to be renegotiated, and we need to do a lot to help out Native communities in Canada. We don't need to bring the stuff that's been harming them and give that to the entire population, because that's what that feels like to me. But I haven't dug that deep into it. But yeah, don't. I'm not a big fan of it on its face. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But that's that one. We have is it pronounced Thomas Sowell? I thought it was pronounced Thomas Sowell. Sowell. But yeah, I could be wrong. Thomas Sowell. Amazing mind. He does I think he does like letters or publications, articles once a week, or is it daily? I was following him on Twitter for a while, and he just like the profound things that guy says is amazing. Yeah, he followed in the footsteps of Milton Friedman, and well, Milton Friedman has his fans and has his enemies too, right? People don't follow it. I know particularly Naomi Wolf. She's a Canadian. She says a lot of bad things about Milton Friedman. If you actually read Milton Friedman and you listen to what she has to say about him, is like those are two different people. So yeah, it's really weird how people demonize other people, and misrepresent the things that they have to say. I'm sure. Yeah, so well. I thought that was pronounced so well. I could be wrong. I believe Trudeau is doing nothing to stop the crazy housing prices, as he intends to in the future. Oh, I gotta get my son and get him up. I'm gonna pour myself water, and I'm gonna get my son. I'm sorry to put you guys on hold, but I'm gonna put you guys on hold for just a moment while I get him into the house, you little rascal. And my girl, come on, okay, kids. All right, these are my kids. They wanted to say hi. You did the WEF thing, but don't forget about the Shapers Clubs. What? We'll have to. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna look that up. Give me 2 seconds, and you guys can read this beautiful headline because this is virtue signaling at its greatest. And I will be right back. Come on, you kids. Let's go. You gotta get in the house. You gotta get in the house. And I took the opportunity to get myself another water. Thirsty boy. Friday evening. I am addicted to the soda stream. Yes, Clyde has his own soda stream in the studio. Yeah, I do. I have a water fountain, one of those water coolers in my studio here, and right on top of it, I have a soda stream. I love it. And I keep fresh lemon slices, so I can have my soda, lemon soda. I'd rather die than be dictated. Oh yeah. Apparently, there are Russian nationals detained in Yellowknife. Their plane was stopped. Did you hear about that? Yes. So I did a video this morning actually about that, and I was talking about how what's his name, Omar Algebra, the transportation minister, was bragging about it on Twitter, and how we're going to do something about Russia by detaining Russian nationals that have nothing to do with the whole situation. It's absurd, it's disgusting, and it's the same fervor that we saw when the Canadian government, Omar Calculus, the Canadian government interned Japanese people during the 1940s, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't think it makes me fearful. It makes me fearful that people could get behind that, and to see people cheering that on is vile. It's just vile. Like, I get if you disagree with people and you wanna see them be embarrassed, or you wanna see them whatever. But like, when you're talking about people who aren't even associated, the only association they have is their nationality or ethnicity. That is bigotry. That's I mean, there's no other word for that. Something isn't right in Ukraine. No, something isn't right in Ukraine. And like I said, I'm not taking sides on this thing, but all I know is that we're being lied to. Harsh. And I was going to get into that. So first a light story. Let's get into a little bit of a light. Yeah, that would be racism. That's correct. It's called bigotry. Speaking of the fervor against Russian anything, yeah, in my video this morning, I went into more of the absurdities. This is one I didn't even hear about. Even Russian cats are banned from international competitions amid Ukraine invasion. So, what? What is wrong with people? Like, I just really don't get it. So now cats from Russia can't compete in any international competition. The Federation Internationale Feline announced is a I love when they make it fancier sounding by flipping the words the other around and putting a little accente grave or whatever it takes to make it French sounding. In a statement posted on their website, Fifi. That's why they did Federation Internationale Feline. They have to say it that way so that their acronym can be Fifi. Said any cat bred in Russia cannot be imported or registered in their pedigree book outside of the country. Not only that, but any cat belonging to exhibitors living in Russia cannot enter any Fifi show outside the country, no matter where they were registered. The restrictions will be in place until May 31st. It's just stupid. Like, absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason for this. There's nothing except the grandstanding, virtue signaling. I heard, what was it, a university in England banned the discussion of Dostoevsky? What? They can't discuss a guy who got the irony of it too is didn't he write his books because he was sent to the gulags for reading the wrong books? Isn't that what he got imprisoned for? He read books that were disallowed by the state, and then he was sentenced to hard labor camp in the gulags, and then he wrote about it, and then here we are banning the talk of his books. Yeah, my Russian cat identifies as Italian. Oh man. I saw that on a sign at one of the rallies. It said, I identify as a vaccinated person. Or can I identify as vaccinated? I thought that was funny. Just the logic's out the window. And by the way, I'm going to make sure any Canadians in the crowd, I'll give you guys the link for this right in the chat. Be sure to sign up for it. Get out there if this is something you care about. Yeah, it's defund the CBC and end the media bailout. Now, I'm not about to say cancel the CBC, get rid of the CBC. I think the CBC should exist as an entity, but there just should be no tax dollars going into it. So I'm 100% for them making their own way. Clean your room, and getting the old Jordan Peterson thing. Yeah, perfect. That's right. So if you're a Canadian citizen and you agree with this petition, get in there, get your name on there, and we'll submit it. Hopefully, right now the Canadian Taxpayers Federation has 235,000 supporters nationwide. Let's get that higher. Let's get that way up there, because Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't last 1 week. They'd be BuzzFeed in a minute. You know what I mean? I mean, their quality is BuzzFeed already, but they would be like just trying to survive. People would be making why I quit the CBC YouTube videos, trying to launch their YouTube careers. There'd be a lot of people learning to code. Let's just put it that way. I don't know if you guys know the learn to code meme, but that was a good one for journalists. It happened a few years ago, where basically journalists had been saying to, what was it? There was the coal industry was dying, and I think Obama was president, and he put a bunch of legislation in to make it harder for people in the coal industry. So all these coal miners were like losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods in the Midwest in America. And all these just self-righteous, douchey, schmarmy writers and journalists, as Jeremy from the Quartering likes to call them, journalists, had nothing but vitriol for these, Midwest, just worked in the mining industry for generations people, right? And they were saying in their thing, because coding is an upcoming career, why don't they learn to code? And they were saying it all like smarmy. Why don't they just learn to code? Wouldn't it be good if they just like switched generations of this one industry that they worked in so that they could learn to code? And so that was cruel, and people saw it as like this cruel thing that these journalists were all writing about this. Well, a bunch of years later, a few years later, journalism takes a big hit, and like all these media outlets started laying everybody off, and it was like mass layoffs everywhere. And they're all over Twitter crying with their little blue check marks, their little blue check marks streaming from their eyelids. And everybody came to their comfort by saying, you should learn to code. And they lost the plot. They lost the plot so bad that Twitter actually, for a while, it was a bannable offense to tell a journalist to learn to code. Oh, I love that. I love that story. Good old happy stories out there in the media landscape. So moving to Ukraine, this was a story that I got from True North. True North, again, doing some really good work this week. Having a look at that. They had a segment called Fake News Friday. They put that on every week. I guess it's every Friday. Really good segment. So this week, no exception. There's lots of fake news. Some of the stuff that they were talking about this week, stuff that I got into with my coverage on the. So I haven't been covering Ukraine. I've been covering the news covering Ukraine. So I'm more or less just being a watchdog on the news and the stories that they come out with, because it's just absolutely trash what we're hearing. Speaking of trash, incinerators. A friend of the channel, Chris from Ruthless, he's got a channel. He did a video on the incinerators that they were coming in, these mobile crematoriums they were calling it, and they had footage of this incinerator. It turned out it was like old footage of them incinerating garbage, but they were coming up with these like cartoonish, diabolical bad guy sort of stories that they're coming in, and they're cremating people as they were moving through, as if it was like this. They're comparing them to the bad guys from WW2, but not in the like realistic what actually happened, but like in a Wolfenstein, video game-esque sort of way, where it's like over the top and crazy. Anyway, True North did a segment on their Fake News Friday. Now, one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm gonna pull this up just briefly. Oh, of course, it goes up on the wrong page. Let me just get this in order here for you. But yes, here we go. So this was a press conference with Boris Johnson in the UK. And this woman gets up and tells this story.
From my team is now in Bila Tserkva, and she is there with 2 kids, and Russian military is over there, and she's so much afraid that she will be shot. Kharkiv, the city where I was studying, was bombarded today, fully, the downtown square. So you're talking about the stoicism of Ukrainian people, but Ukrainian women and Ukrainian children are in deep fear because of bombs and missiles which are going from the sky. And Ukrainian people are desperately asking for the West to protect our sky. We are asking for the no-fly zone. We are saying in response that it will trigger World War III. But what is the alternative, Mr. Prime Minister? To observe how our children are, instead of planes, are protecting NATO from the missiles and bombs? What's the alternative for the no-fly zone? We have planes here, we have air defense.
Now, I'm just going to cut in really quick. So the idea of a no-fly zone, making a no-fly zone over Russia would be an act of war, right? So if you made a no-fly zone over Russia as an outside entity like Britain, that would be declaring an act of war. So what she's essentially asking for is an act of war from a country who's not yet involved in this situation, and hopefully doesn't become involved in this situation. We don't want a hot war all over Europe. That would lead to World War III. So what this woman is asking for here is not essentially, is asking for Boris Johnson to start World War III, which is scary, but then she gets into an emotional appeal here.
System in Poland, in Romania, NATO has this air defense. At least this air defense could shield the Western Ukraine, so that these children with women could come to the border. It's impossible now to cross the border. There are 30 kilometers of lines. Imagine crossing the border with a baby or with 2 children. I'm so glad that Samantha Power is coming here to the border from the Polish side. Let her come to the border from Ukrainian side and see that. Britain guaranteed our security under Budapest Memorandum. So you're coming to Poland. You're not coming to Kiev, Prime Minister. You're not coming to Lviv. Because you are afraid. Because NATO is not willing to defend. Because NATO is afraid of the World War III. But it is already started. And these are Ukrainian children who are there taking the hit. You're talking about more sanctions, Prime Minister. But Roman Abramovich is not sanctioned. He's in London. His children are not in the bombardments. His children are there in London. Putin's children are in Netherlands, in Germany, in mansions. Where are all these mansions seized? I don't see that. I see that my family members, that my team members are saying that we are crying. We don't have where to run. Well, this is what is happening, Prime Minister.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, she has this emotional appeal for the Prime Minister of Great Britain to initiate World War III. Now, who is this woman? And this is where the tip from True North came in. Who is this woman? This is Daria Kaleniuk. Well, she's actually a agitator or a protester. She's a vocal critic of a lot of things, but she's something else in particular. This is the World Economic Forum profile for this woman. She's openly asking as an agent for the World Economic Forum for the leader of Great Britain to initiate World War III. She says in that video there, I know it would start World War III, but it's already gone. It's already started. Join the battle. yeah, I found that one to be quite interesting. And what it was eerily similar to was there was a case that happened, and this was back in the 1990s, and a lot of people are, you know, probably too young to remember what this situation was. But there was a woman, a young woman, who got in front of the camera while they were having these congressional hearings on what to do with the Gulf War. And this was a case, I'm not sure if this got music.
They pulled out his fingernails and applied
Yeah, it does have music, but I'm gonna just keep it down.
electric shock to sensitive private parts of his body.
I gotta turn the music off because I don't know if it's copyright. But essentially,
Coming to the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
well, her testimony was a major reason behind the escalation, right? So that was the case there. Now it turns out that was all actually a fabrication, and that she was, I believe, is the daughter of a Kuwaiti prince, I believe what it was, and the whole story was made up. The entire thing was a fabrication. So these are the things to watch out for, right? War is a thing that people are happy to lie to get us into, and lie to get people drummed right up, right? And yeah, they'll be happy to say all kinds of things. Weapons of mass destruction, or babies in incubators, and well, tears in front of Boris Johnson in this case. So sometimes it's not easy to see when you're being propagandized, and they're trying to drum things up and get you all heated up and waiting for that. Now, another thing that was, yeah, it is all political theater. That's right. Putin is just taken out of the deeps. Nah. Well, I don't know about that. So here's a funny thing, is that the World Economic Forum has a YouTube channel, and they're not some secret organization. Where is it? World Economic Forum. Now, they have a YouTube channel, and on this YouTube channel, they have speakers from all over the place, and like people in positions of power. I mean, here's Anthony Fauci talking to them. Here's Bill Gates talking to them. I think President Xi's been on here a bunch of times. Yeah, there he is right there. There's Bill Gates again. You have this is a UN, or I can't remember who she is. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission. That's right. So yeah, you have all these world leaders on here. What I found pretty funny was that after this whole thing went down, Putin is scrubbed from the WEF's YouTube channel. I checked that because I watched his speech on there from a few months ago, literally just before this whole thing kicked off, because I was like, what's going on? And I wanted to know what he had to say about this situation, because people were saying he was a WEF guy, and well, apparently he was. You got old Schwabi Dingles over there saying he's one of our young global leaders, you know, and he was all excited about that, but it looks like not so much anymore, because you can just search Putin speech, and there's lots on there. So he was part of this. It was definitely a thing. It's not It's not like it didn't happen, but there may have been a falling out there during this whole situation. I'm not sure what the truth is. There's so much BS out there, guys. Like, honestly, way too much BS to sift through to know what the truth is. All I can do, the best I can do at the moment, is find out what's BS, right? that's what I've been working at, is just seeing what out there is just absolute trash, because there's so much of it. Like, absolutely tons of it is just junk. And that's why, like, we start calling into question, like, our own political leaders and stuff too, right? So, for example, they made a big deal about the particular flags that were at the trucker rally. You know, the one that showed up on the first day and was a plant and never showed up again. Well, that was a big issue. And then, you know, recently we had the Canadian Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, holding a sign here. Now, from what I understand, the sign translated says blood and soil, which is the bad guys slogan. That's the Freeland. That is ironic. So she had this picture taken of her holding this sign. Now, she posted it to her social media, and here's a guy who shows her original post, right? So Chrystia Freeland, "We stand united, we stand with Ukraine," and also in French, and then also in Ukrainian. I don't know if that's how you call that language. I'm not sure. But there she is holding the sign. Now, word got out that people knew what that sign meant. So she deleted the post and then reposted another picture, same post, but without the sign there. So that she fell under some pretty harsh criticism for that in particular. For good reason. So apparently the bad guys from WW2 group, they have like a huge history in the Ukraine. So some people were saying, well, maybe she didn't realize what she was holding. Maybe she had no idea. And then so people on the other side raised the argument, well, she's written books about the Ukraine. She's fluent in the language. She spent time there. She's a smart woman. She went to Harvard University. She's hardly unaware of what's going on over there and the history of the place. So apparently there's some bad guy WW2 that was like a Ukrainian operative in WW2, and he did a lot to move that bad cause. And then when the Soviets took over, it became an underground movement. But then when the Soviet Union collapsed, that group started to grow again, and they carry around pictures of that guy and that slogan. So that's a thing. That's a thing. Now, I don't know how much weight that carries, but this is something that the news doesn't want you to see. Like, that's where we're at, right? I'm not adding narrative to this. I'm just telling you guys what I'm seeing in this situation. It's a really complicated, convoluted, complex set of circumstances, and for people to tell you that it's just black and white, it makes me think that they're lying, right? And usually people lie by omission, like one, oh, well, if I don't tell you that, then maybe you'll see my side. Or maybe they're lying to themselves. I don't know. I just don't see it as like this old G.I. Joe thing where you've got like the Cobras and they're, you know, I don't know if anyone's a fan of G.I. Joe, the old cartoon, but the Cobra, I mean, the Cobra had more of a complex story behind it than what we're getting from the news media on Russia. They're just like, Russia bad. Like, why? Why is this happening? Well, we're not going to tell you why it's happening. I can't get behind that. I can't get behind that. So I just, like I said, I don't have a side in this. I don't have a dog in the fight. I hope the people are okay, and I don't want to be lied into this, because we got lied into some other ones, and it turned out bad for everybody involved. Not the people who were selling the bombs and the guns, but bad for everybody else involved. Yeah, elitists. I'm tired of that term. You know what? Elitist, we need to come up with a new name for elite. Because here's how I see the word elite. Have you ever had a friend who gives himself a nickname? And you know, when people give themselves a nickname, it's always like a cool nickname, like call me Snake. You know, that's not how nicknames work. You don't get to call yourself a thing. Watch this sometime. Russia is invading. Why Russia is invading Ukraine by real life lore. I'll check that out. Yeah, Jimmy Dore has. Yeah, he has receipts. I've been watching Jimmy Dore. And if you saw my video this morning, I told everybody that I've been watching Jimmy Dore. I don't agree with Jimmy Dore all the time, but if he's telling the truth, he's telling the truth. That's my litmus test. Where was I? Yeah, you don't get to make up your own nickname. Sorry, you don't get to make up your own nickname. You don't get to be Snake. You don't get to be elites. You could be douchebags. You know, like one of the guys I work with, we were calling him Clever for a bit because he tried coming up with a nickname for somebody else. So he's like, you see that? It's a clever nickname. So we called him Clever for a few days. That's how nicknames work. You don't get to be elite, especially in a time where, and this is the funniest part, is this whole fourth industrial revolution. I know the Schwabs. Oh yeah, don't get schwabbed. You don't know where that thing's been. So, Klausy Schwabers, he reckons that the AI and his new system of governance is just going to control everybody. When the idea is that who's going to become obsolete in this whole deal? Who's actually going to become obsolete when AI becomes more prevalent and things become easier to manage and things become easier to govern and take care of? As this technology increases, people, and especially with the idea of decentralized currencies becoming a thing, decentralized, all kinds of stuff happening, who's going to become less necessary? Well, the elites, the elites, these people whose job it is to be the top dog and allocate things. This is why UBI is being promoted. Now, see, okay, so UBI is being promoted because of the argument, and this is not a new argument. The argument that when automation takes place, everyone's going to be out of work. We've gone through this before. When automation in the farming industry took place, where did all those people go? They were all supposed to be outcasts of society when the agricultural revolution took place. When we started having tractors and things that could take care of the fields instead of having, tons of people. Like, what was it? Like over 80% of the population worked in agriculture. What is it today? Less than 10. Like that and they say, well, it didn't happen that quick. It did. It happened very quick. Farmers, yeah, they got wheels, they got they got tractors, and they sent their workers off, and those people were freed up to go do other things, and other industries came out because of it. So if we have automation in the system, automation, I mean, it's a quick, easy calculation. This machine costs X amount, costs this much to maintain, costs this much to replace after X amount of years. How much does an employee cost? If it can do the same thing, great. But automation, we're not that close to like automation taking over massive amounts of skilled labor and stuff like that. Like that's not a thing. So it's gonna push people into more skilled trades, skilled work, that kind of thing. Yeah, you know, it's so funny too, because the people that are worried should be worried the most are journalists. It's too quick and easy for someone like me to get information and distribute that information, put it out there. Also AI is really good at writing articles these days, and I bet you the amount of articles that you read on a daily basis is actually put through by AI and then just proofread by a writer, not the other way around. Coding, law, yeah, learn. There's gonna be a lot of jobs in coding. But anyway, so there was a particular industry called the buggy whip industry back in the day, before cars. They used to make buggy whips, because whips for buggies, they used to wear out, right? So you whip your horses to draw the carriage. And these whips made out of leather and metal rings and rivets and all that stuff, they would wear out. And there was an entire industry built around this. Clyde, I'm 39 years old, moved from the city. I started my own business, bought a farm, and now I raise lamb and beef. More people need to get into farming. Yeah, get into farming. There's a whole cottage industry in people wanting to buy from independent local farmers. So like, these are industries people are interested in. These are things. If you lose your job because of automation, do something else. There is going to be stuff to do. So the buggy whip industry, when Henry Ford started making automobiles more affordable for the average everyday person, because his idea was, you know, if I make $1 on every car, but I sell 1 million cars, I'm a millionaire. You know what I mean? It was profit margins, keep them low, keep the volume high. So you got that out there. And there was actually a lobbying effort to lobby the government to save the buggy whip industry, because they were losing out because people were getting into cars and not whipping horses to get around. And they didn't bail out the buggy whips. What they did was they said, SOL, if people aren't buying buggy whips anymore, find something else to do. Well, a lot of those people ended up working in the automotive industry. So I'm not really concerned like Elon Musk or some of these other people, why we need UBI for this particular reason. I have a lot of faith in the market economy. I think things tend to find a way. When you free people up, they find other things to do. They definitely do. Chris says, I can't help but think that Trudeau. Trudeau. I'm reading that wrong. Can't help to think, but Trudeau's emergency power is to bring the trucker convoy to an end, so Ukraine war propaganda could begin. Thanks for your coverage, by the way. Yeah, it's really interesting, the timing there. So like he's like, whoa, I gotta end this emergency, and then right away Russia attacks the Ukraine. Yeah, the timing suspect, but I'm really I'm not inclined to jump to conclusions because things correlate. There's always that correlation is not causation thing. And it's the same thing too, when somebody profits from something, it doesn't mean that because they profited that they engineered the thing to happen. Like, a lot of people tend to actually just happen to profit from an occasion. Yeah, like sometimes it's horrendous, people's profiteering in bad situations, but it doesn't mean that they caused the situation. It doesn't mean that they didn't cause the situation either. Like, it just doesn't mean, it just, correlation isn't causation. Yellow Little Ducky says Freeland wrote 3 books: Plutocrats, My Ukraine, Sale of the Century. Cannot imagine being married to her with that shrill voice and have 3 kids. Insane times. Thanks for your honest journalism. You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, if she's holding that banner and she wrote a book about Ukraine, do you think she didn't know what that meant? That's the absurd part. That's actually the absurd part. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about their allegiances forever. I think the fact that they're all part of this organization called the World Economic Forum, I think, is enough to warrant looking into, at least, right? I'm just trying to see if there's some other stories that I was looking to share with you guys today on Friday. I know if I don't get to it today, I likely won't get to it, and then I'll move on to other news stories and stuff. Let me go. I had some things stored in watch later that I put up. Man, I need to empty this thing out. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, there's that, and there's that. This one was really interesting. For anyone who's into the technology and stuff that goes along the environmental route, I'm not a political environmentalist, but I'm an environmentalist in the sense that if I can find more efficient ways of doing things, I would prefer that. If I can make my immediate environment around me cleaner, I would love to do that, and I would take any opportunity to do that. And if I see new technologies that are really cool and help people in situations where getting them things would be otherwise more difficult, I'm super into that. And here's a cool one. This is a new technology called desert fog nets, and they catch water in desert areas. So this guy, I'll show a little bit of what he's saying. Just back up. Oh, of course, the music.
Fog catchers or fog nets are helping to supply safe and clean drinking water to impoverished families who live in the outskirts of Lima, Peru, in the Atacama Desert, which is known as the driest place on Earth. The National Geographic Society considers the coastal area of southern Peru to be part of the Atacama Desert and includes the desert south of the Ica region in Peru.
So anyway, he goes on to say, I don't want to like just show his whole video. I don't like to do that. If I'm gonna do something, it's got to be transformative. I'll definitely put the link for that video in the comments right here. So check it out if you're looking at that. Yeah, the title for the video is Desert Fog Nets Catch 10,000 liters of water daily. I thought this was really clever. And it's these propylene nets that they hang up, and as the fog rolls through it, water condenses on them, and then it drops into these troughs, and then it's collected. Super ingenious idea. Some clever guys came up with it. I like stuff like this. What do you mean fake? Is that fake? No way. No way is this fake. Water wells for the world. Oh, so it's got to be in a situation where you do have fog rolling in, and basically the only energy that it takes is, well, the energy it takes to make the propylene nets, and then it's just wind and gravity. Super cool. So this is apparently the driest place on Earth, and they're catching it, and they're able to grow and have horticulture, which I think is super clever. I think it's really cool, and I wanted to share that with you guys. That's one thing that I wanted to share. Let's see what else we had here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, I remember this now. This was my example of exactly why the title of it is "This is why I don't pay taxes." And this is the epitome of what politics are. There needs to be a rule in the House of Commons where if somebody asks you a question, you actually have to address the question. The most frustrating thing is when so like in the court of law, if the judge is there to direct. So if the witness is not saying a direct, answer to the question, the judge will say you're not answering the question. You know what I mean? There's some sort of like authority to say, yo, answer the damn question. But this is a perfect example of why it's just ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous.
Middle Class Prosperity, who is a member of Parliament here in Ottawa. What is the average cost for a home in the city of Ottawa?
The Honourable Minister.
Great question.
Mr. Speaker, my title is the Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance. I'm sure my honourable colleague across the way knows that. But let me say, Mr. Speaker, 156,000 jobs.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
It's not an answer.
The Minister of Treasury Board can help by telling us the average cost of a house in the nation's capital.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say 106% of jobs have been recovered since the lowest point of the pandemic.
Member for Carleton.
What is the average increase in house prices since this government took office in 2015?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canada's economy contracted by 17% between February and April 2020, the largest and most sudden contraction in real GDP.
They never
since
answer
Great
the question.
Depression, and we're already back.
It's the most
Carleton.
frustrating
Just the average
thing.
house price.
The Honourable
Just the average house
5
price.
million Canadians lost their jobs, and they're all back.
Just say it.
Member for Carleton.
And what would they pay for the average house?
The
In
Minister.
2020, unemployment rated more than doubled from a pre-pandemic level of 5.7% to a record of 13.7%, 6% now.
Member for Carleton.
How much is a house?
I think there's a problem with the audio in the chamber.
Yeah,
The question
what's
was,
up?
What is the average cost of a house in Canada today?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government has made historic investments in housing affordability, and we will continue to do so.
The Honourable
And
Member
how?
for Carleton.
And how much does it cost?
How affordable are such houses?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government has made historic investments in housing.
So
and will continue to do
frustrating.
So that housing is affordable
Like,
for
how do
all
you
Canadians.
sit
Member
through
for
this?
Carleton.
If so, how much have house prices increased since this government took office?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's talk about how it is possible for people to afford their houses with good employment.
This is
And that's why
legit.
employment
This is
income
legit
fell
our
by an
government.
unprecedented
This is how it
28%
works.
during the pandemic.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
One last time, in dollars, how much have house prices risen since this government took office?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, consumer confidence is back. People are back to work. 106% of jobs have been recovered since the lowest point in the pandemic.
Consumer confidence is back. How much consumer confidence is back? Is there consumer confidence in houses?
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
How much?
Minister.
How much?
From a steep decline in profits, we're back 66% since the bottom of the pandemic.
Carleton.
How much?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the economy.
Why
is
do
recovering.
politicians
Member for
do
Carleton.
that? What is that?
Does the minister have any idea what it costs for the average person to buy a house in Canada? Does he have any idea, or does he even care?
A drinking game.
More
That's
than
so funny.
213,000 businesses stay afloat.
I think that the average Canadian can see how much this government knows and cares about
Right?
the cost of buying a home in this country, which is their level of care is zero. I'm going to give him one last chance. Can he tell us what it costs the average Canadian to buy the average house in Canada today? How much?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the CERB helped nearly 9 million Canadians who lost their jobs when COVID hit, making housing affordable for them. We will continue to do so.
The CERB. Oops. That came back. The CERB. That's the COVID relief fund, which was just extended unemployment for people to stay home. Yeah, that helped. How did that help? It just helped people pay their bills that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to pay. What is the problem? Why do we not have a rule in the House of Parliament where if a question is asked that you have to at least address the question, not deflect? It's the most frustrating thing to listen to. I can understand why people don't pay attention to politics in Canada, why it's just absolutely frustrating. People are pulling their hair out and just losing their mind listening to these people. The thing is, most people don't pay attention to this, and that's why they just do the old thing. Oh, okay, well, the election's coming. Oh, okay, I'll vote. Who's the guy? Who's my guy? Who's my guy? I always vote with that thing, that group, or whatever, right? Or we do this circle of, I don't like what the Liberals are doing, I'm going to vote Conservative. I don't like what the Conservatives are doing, I'm going to vote Liberal. And then it just keeps going around and around and around and around. That's the circle of, and if you vote NDP, you vote Liberal. That's just the way that works. And yeah. Welcome to Canadian politics. It's absolutely frustrating. But that was one thing that I wanted to share with you guys. This was another one with I believe this is Grimace from earlier, purple guy. On another one, yeah, PPC. That's another argument for that, to vote PPC. Yeah, it's a good argument there. People need to start voting conscience. Vote their conscience instead of voting for the money party. That's what it is, man. People are voting for the money party. Just not keen. The Conservatives shot themselves in the foot last go around because, well, no, the go around before, they shot themselves in the foot because they wouldn't get with the consensus in Canada. Nobody cares about pot. I mean, my take, I don't smoke pot. I don't like it. It's not my thing, but I've got nothing against other people that's their thing. It's just stupid. It's stupid that that's a stance that you want to keep it illegal. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. It doesn't fly in Canada, and that's how they lost that election. And Big Trudy's in. So dumb. Anyway, I'm gonna get to this guy. Another one of the donations for funding terrorism. Give, send, go arguments.
How concerned should Canadians be about foreign funding or foreign funds coming into Canada and spurring on ideologically motivated violent?
Oh, sorry. I saw that Ukraine cured COVID. I saw. Does anyone know Michael Malice? He posted on Twitter. He's a huge troll on Twitter, and that's what he posted out. Putin cured COVID. And yeah, it definitely feels that way.
Extremism.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. The money, what's happening in Ottawa has not been, to my knowledge, identified as ideologically motivated violent extremism. We might come into Canada to support ideologically motivated violent extremism, and the United States would be extremely concerned about money leaving the States or funding such extremist view or such extremist actions.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Our partners in FinCEN are quite alive to this. We share a lot of intelligence back and forth with respect to IMVEs, with respect to traveling people that want to leave the country to participate in terrorist activities, for example. So we do, and we work with our Egmont and our Five Eyes partners very closely with respect to that. So any funding that would be linked to IMVE is of extreme concern and importance to us, and we would disclose that intelligence to our law enforcement and national security partners. So I believe that you know, any action that's taken by those actors or by sanctioned groups, for example, a listed terrorist organization, for example, or members that are, or people that are known to be members of those organizations, both our financial institutions, but also those in the United States, I'm sure, know who these people are. They do monitor their transactions, and they do report actions or completed with respect to them.
So one very brief question then. Do you have any concerns, or have there been any flags raised thus far around potential sources of funding for what has been happening in Ottawa?
Thank you for the question. No, the sources of funding that we've seen today, we have not seen a spike. And as you know, I can't speak to specific reporting or reporting on any individuals or organizations, but we have not seen a spike in suspicious transaction reporting, for example, related to this.
We could be harvesting.
Why did that just skip on me? Did I got autoplay on somehow? I don't like that. I gotta find that. Oh no. Autoplay is off. Why did it just... Wow. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so basically, there's a guy from FinTrack saying, I know what you're saying, but we don't have any of that data. So you're saying that it's violent extremism, terrorism, all that stuff. But that's just you saying that. That's not what we're seeing. you know, the facts on the ground are, sorry, Grimace, you're gonna have to sit down and quit your grandstanding, essentially. And that's where we're at, and that's essentially this week in news. I don't know if there's anything else to cover. I was looking through some of the other things here. Oh, it's because it's on my playlist. That's why. I had it on the playlist of things that I wanted to watch later. That's correct. Oh, here's the magical something that happens in New Brunswick. I like this. Let's jump here. Boop, boop, boop. So this is good news from New Brunswick. We're not yet getting this good news in British Columbia, sadly.
February 28th.
Oh, sorry.
Proof of vaccination will no longer be required anywhere it is currently required, such as restaurants, gyms, entertainment centers, and churches. Other measures, including masking and physical distancing, must continue.
Oh, right on, Brando.
Then, as of Monday, March 14th at 12:01 a.m., the mandatory order will end. At that time, all mandated public health measures will end. Masks will no longer be required in public spaces, indoors or outside. Capacity limits will be eliminated, and physical distancing requirements will end. Isolation requirements for COVID will end.
Oh, graphic warning. Oops. Yeah, this is on a poor guy. What was this one? Oh, I can't put that one on. So that one is a no-no on YouTube. I don't know how that one's still up on this other person's channel, but I had a video taken down for making these statements. Clyde, I'm hitting your like button now. Thanks for that. Awesome. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. That was this week in news. I want to thank you guys for all, the data dump. Yeah, that I did a video on that and I got in trouble. But I also have a Rumble channel, so check that out. Let me give you guys a link to that. But I mean, it's the same name. The channel is of the same name. You can check that one. Message retracted. Uh-oh. But anyway, yeah. So that was this week in news around the world. I'm really glad to see so many people paying attention to Canadian news, Canadian politics, Canadian stuff happening. Normally we're only paying attention to what's happening south of our border, and nobody outside of Canada is looking at Canada. And I think a lot of people are really interested in what's happening in Canada because it seems like this is kind of like the battleground for the acceptance of this new idea, the Great Reset and all that stuff. This is where they're really trying to do initial implementation of that stuff. This and New Zealand as well, and Australia has really been hit hard with that as well. So the world's watching, and they want to see what happens in Canada. They want to see what people do compared to it. Was just saying New Brunswick was really hard on the COVID rules at the start. People were getting tickered for not wearing masks. Ticketed in public for not wearing masks. Never heard about that out here in BC. Like I said, hypocrites have saved us. But because of that, people have been pretty, just like whatever about it, and they still have the rules in place. So not enough people have been raising a stink about the rules still being in place. Hopefully we can have that overturned soon. I'm gonna get some info about what Bonnie and Dix are doing, and we're gonna let that hit the let the truth bubble up, right? The truth will bubble up, and if we start paying real close attention to what they've been doing, well, maybe they're gonna want to get us to stop paying attention to what they've been doing. You know what I mean? So get that pressure on, get the pressure cooker fired up, and we'll see what they've been up to all this time. And yeah, Russell Brand's been watching Canada, and I thank him for definitely putting us on the world stage even more with his 5 million followers. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming out. We're going to do this again next Friday, so be sure to set your schedule aside, or you can just tune in when the video goes up the next day, and you guys can check it out. But that's it for tonight. I've been working at this for a month straight. We'll see what kind of stories I have for the morning. I might take a day off. I might not. If you don't see a video tomorrow, that might be why. But if you do, then check it out anyway. But yeah, that being said, gonna end it here, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Keep on trucking.